The Assignments tool is for collecting and grading assignments from individual students or small groups. Using the Assignments tool instead of collecting assignments via email is preferred because it documents what was submitted, when it was submitted, as well as the feedback and grade that was returned. The main Assignments tab shows a list of all the assignments including their current status, the open date, and the due date. The In New column shows how many have been submitted and how many are still to be graded. The Scale column shows how many points an assignment is worth, or if it will simply receive a check mark, pass, fail, or no grade. All assignments offer the opportunity for the instructor to give text feedback, even if it's not graded. Only people in the instructor role, not the academic support role, can give or see grades and feedback in Sakai. This includes assignments, discussion forums, and gradebook. To grade an assignment, begin by clicking the grade link underneath the assignment you want to grade, or click the numbers in the In New column. This will bring you to the list of students. The Use New Grader checkbox toggles you between the Old Grader view and the New Grader view. We will demonstrate both. You can use whichever suits your needs. You can use the Download All link to download all submitted attachments at once if you want to read them or give feedback in the attachments themselves. The Upload All link offers the opportunity to upload all grades for an assignment using the CSV file. To learn more about that, contact at@antioch.edu. We will talk about the Release Grades link later in this tutorial. Send feedback to multiple students, rarely used but could come in handy in some cases. To set resubmission options for multiple students, select all students that you want to give the option to resubmit and set the date they must resubmit by. To give an individual student the option to resubmit, go into their grading window and select Allow Resubmissions and give them specific number of resubmissions and a date when they could submit by. The Attachment column shows if a student has attached an assignment. The Submitted Date column shows the date and time an assignment was submitted. If it was after the due date but before the Accept Until date, it will show the word Late. The Status column shows whether the assignment is unsubmitted, ungraded, or grade and the corresponding date. The Grade column will show the assignment grade for each student. The Released column will show a check mark for each grade that has been released. When released, the grade is available to student, and it will show gradebook if it's connected to the gradebook in the assignment edit screen. To grade a student using the New Grader, make sure the New Grader checkbox is checked and click the name of the student you want to grade. If a student submits inline text or a link to a Google Doc, it will show on the top left of the grading window. You can open a Google Doc and add feedback and/or give feedback using the Add Feedback button on the left, which gives you a large window including what the student has submitted. Or you can use the Feedback Comment button on the right. The grade goes in the Grade field. At the bottom, you can allow resubmission. And then save and release to students. Once you release the grade to the students, it will appear in the gradebook if you added this assignment to the gradebook, and the student will receive an email notifying them that their grade is available if you selected that in assignment details. If you just click Save, the student will not be able to see their grade and it will not appear in the gradebook. To grade another student, use the drop-down list on the top right or the blue arrow to go to the next or previous student in the list. You can also use the Return to List link. If a student submits an attachment, the New Grader view shows their submission on the left pane. If it is an unusual file type, you will need to download submission to read and/or edit the document by clicking the Submitted Attachments link on the right. To attach your edited document, use the Add Attachment button. To grade a student using the Old Grader, return to the list and make sure the New Grader checkbox is unchecked. and click the name of the student you want to grade. You'll see only one column in the old grader. The inline text appears first if they added text or link, followed by the submitted attachments, which you can download to read and or add feedback to the paper itself. The old grades doesn't show the contents of the attachment the way the new grader does. The grade goes in the field and you can add formatted text comments in the instructor summary comments box. At the bottom, you can attach your feedback in a document, allow resubmission, and save or save release the grade just like in the new grader. Lastly, to navigate back to the list of students or to the next or previous student, the main difference between the old grader and the new grader is the layout, except that you can't review the attachments and there are no private notes in the old grader. Both views have the same functionality, so you can choose what works best for you. Once you've graded your assignments, you can return to the list to see all of the grades and which ones have been released. If you want to release all the grades that haven't been released, scroll to the top and click the Released All link. If you have any questions about grading assignments, please don't hesitate to email us at at@antioch.edu.